Most buyers have no idea that this is one thing that can be a huge factor in determining whether your offer is accepted right now or not. What is that one thing? Stay tuned and you will find out. Let's do it. Jonathan McCoy here with Keller Williams Realty, Chattahoochee North, and I am Atlanta's Real McCoy. On this channel, we talk about all things real estate as well as living, working, playing, and breathing all things Atlanta and the metro Atlanta area. Today, we are talking about mortgage lenders. And yes, that is the one thing I'm referring to in that intro. If you are buying a house right now, who you use as a lender can play a vital role in determining whether you get an accepted offer or your offer is rejected. And right now, with so many properties receiving multiple offers, it is more important than ever to choose the right lender. And I wish it was just as simple as giving you exactly who to choose and go from there. But unfortunately, it's not. You see, the lender that may help you get the offer may not be the lender that gets you the best deal or saves you the most money. But the lender that saves you the most money may not help you get that offer, or even if you get the offer, may cause a lot of headaches along the way. Let me explain. Here in the Atlanta area, local lenders are oftentimes the lenders that are preferred by listing agents. And listing agents have a big influence on the seller they are representing when it comes to advising them on which offers are best to choose from. When it comes to lenders, you have some lenders that are large companies that lend nationally or in large regions of the U.S., such as the big banks such as Wells Fargo, Truist, and USAA. While you may or may not have a loan originator that you can talk to locally, oftentimes the people who will be involved with your loan will be spread out across the country. You may talk with a lender here and their representative in Peachtree Corners, Georgia, but the underwriters that work with them may be in Cleveland, Ohio. And they may order appraisals from companies that are not as familiar with the local market. Also, when working with big banks, they seem to have procedures that must go in a very specific order. If step 2 is not done first, they're not going to go on with steps 3, 4, and 5 in the process. With them being more rigid in their process and spread out across the country, this can cause delays. With the way their processes work, oftentimes you need 30 days or longer depending on the loan type to be able to close on that loan in your house. Typically, you also need longer appraisal and financing contingencies to be a part of your offer. In a somewhat similar fashion, you also have your large online lenders like Rocket Mortgage and Quicken Loans and the like. They too are not local and spread out and have timelines that can be longer, but some of them can do it quicker than the bigger banks. And then you have local lenders. Local lenders can typically get things done a lot faster. I have a local lender that can get a conventional loan started and closed within 14 days of you going under contract. In comparison, a lender that's online may be able to get it done in 24 to 28 days, and the big banks as a lender can get stuff done in 30 days or more. Now these times vary from lender to lender, but time right now is a big deal. When you have so much competition among buyers, a seller wants to see very short time frames for financing and appraisal contingencies. If you go with a local lender who can get you pre-approved and go through underwriting before you even make an offer on a house, you may be able to put 0 days for the financing and appraisal contingencies, depending on how qualified you are as a buyer. This makes a huge difference because your offer with a loan that looks like a cash offer with 0 days financing and appraisal contingencies is very attractive to a seller. When it comes to the online lenders and big banks, I haven't seen any that can or will do this. Another big consideration when choosing a lender is finding one that will educate you as a buyer. This is where I think local lenders and some bigger banks in general have an advantage. The lender with experience should be able to walk you through the many steps it takes to getting a loan and also educate you on some of the terms that are constantly used, such as like reserves, but the general population may have no understanding of. More experienced local lenders and big bank lenders can tell pretty quickly whether someone is qualified for a loan or not. Whereas with online lenders sometimes, but not always, you have a little less experienced person you may be working with, and my guess is because of the large turnover they have. And sometimes things are missed or things aren't asked and too many assumptions are made. I've seen multiple situations where the buyer was not properly educated or the online lender just missed a certain thing about the buyer that wouldn't allow them to qualify to buy a home. These things should have been caught early on in the process, but were not, and the buyer was well on their way to buying a home and thinking they were going to close before being surprised and finding out they didn't even qualify. While typically this is caught before the end of the financing contingency period, that is not always the case. And if a buyer can't get a loan after the financing contingency has expired, they then have to break contract and are in breach of contract and lose their earnest money generally. That loss can be thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars for you as a buyer. And that loss of money could have been avoided if a more experienced lender was being used. You may be asking yourself, well, why would anyone use an online lender or a big bank lender? Well, a few reasons. The big bank lenders are usually more well known. You have a bank account probably, and you naturally think that you can just go through your bank to get your home loan, and so that's what a lot of people do. When it comes to the online lenders, they do a pretty good job of advertising themselves, so many people are attracted to them because of their advertisements. Most people have no idea that local lenders even exist until they talk with real estate agents. But besides being familiar with certain lenders, the other reason is interest rates and closing costs. There are some online lenders that continue to beat, and sometimes significantly, local lenders and banks when it comes to interest rates. I've had buyers get qualified for 1/4 to 0.5% lower further interest rate of their loan from an online lender versus a local lender. Combined with that, I have also seen the same online lenders have closing costs that were $1,000 or $2,000 or even $3,000 less than the other lenders, the big bank and the local lenders. Now you may be seeing the dilemma that buyers face. On one hand, you have a local lender who can get the job done and your offer may be more readily acceptable if you can use the terms that local lenders can meet and provide. However, you may be paying more both in closing costs and the long term when it comes to interest rates for the local lender or the bigger bank. On the other hand, you can maybe get a loan that costs less but will be harder to get you an accepted offer because they have longer terms for the financing and appraisal contingency. One thing that helps some buyers is to shop around with different lenders. What you then do is take the terms from maybe the online lender and present what you were qualified for to the local lender. Sometimes a local lender can match the closing costs or the rates from that online lender or at least get closer. If that happens, you can then have maybe the best of both worlds. But if you can't, then you have to choose between the lender who is more likely to get you an accepted offer and is maybe better at explaining the process and getting you closed, or the one that will save you money but your offer may not get accepted, or there may be more bumps along the way. As a realtor who's done this for many years now, I really don't care who a buyer chooses for a lender, as I have worked with all the different ones. My big thing is to make sure that you as the buyer are protected and educated as much as possible. I do my best to be in contact with the lenders you work with as much as possible to make sure that you as a buyer are being taken care of and that you will be successful in your endeavor to purchase a home. If this video was helpful, then hit that thumbs up button. I post videos just like this one every Thursday about all things real estate, as well as living, working, playing, and breathing in Atlanta and the metro Atlanta area. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Thanks, and I will see you next time.